Do you know what that dollar's for?
No.
You don't have any idea?
Is it our first dollar?
You have a lot less circuits in that trailer. Yeah, excuse me.
You alright, buddy? There's a coffee shop downstairs.
Yeah, right.
Brewster build.
We talked about building our own trailers, and because of our time frame, we were wanting to get stuff done pretty quickly. We found somebody that actually would build them for us, and so they were basically able to work on the trailers while we were working on Brewster.
And it would cut, probably a month out of my first initial build, maybe 2, because I'd have had to work through a lot of headaches in the design that I had in my head.
He found a trailer company in the Dakotas that build trailers like this for ice houses. And essentially what it is, it's a trailer with some hydraulic cylinders and a pump and whatnot. It uses hydraulics to raise up so you can pull the trailer around, and then it lowers down to the ground. We bought 3 of them initially. So as you see, the first Brewster has 1 of them. So we have 2 more coming soon after this one.
In the future, we'll probably have them shipped. I mean, I don't think I'm going to drive up there to get them. It was a cool road trip for Quentin and I, and there were some fun moments on it. I thoroughly enjoyed that trip with Quentin, but it was a tough trip.
Dropped Mandy off at Ray's Signature Grill there in Atlanta so she could work on some of the coffee procedures and whatnot, because this was still early during the year, back when we first opened up the blacksmith shop there in Atlanta.
So they dropped me off on their way up there to kind of just check in, see how everything's going. That way if they had any questions, to make sure they were making everything right, because we didn't have a ton of time to go over training. I think I spent 2 or 3 days there, and then Quentin and Dad picked me up on their way home. They drove a lot of rough hours that trip.
So the first night we took off from here early that morning, and we drove all the way to Topeka. We got in there, it was like, I don't know, 3, 4 in the morning, something like that. And then we got up and we drove somewhere up and way up in the northern part of the country. We were there at 9 o'clock that morning.
We hauled butt up there to the Dakotas, picked up trailers. It was it was a fast trip. I think we did it all in 2 or 3 days.
We didn't sleep. And then we decided on the way back just to drive her all the way home. We had 2 people.
Quentin did all the driving.
I did most of the driving, but that's because it was my choice.
And he did. He drove a good portion of it, but when he got tired, I'd take over and he'd take a 2-3 hour nap, and then he'd want to drive again, because I think he's a lot more comfortable driving too. Big old boy like that don't lay down in the seat too well, let me tell you.
Fast trip, easy trip, fun trip. Picked up the trailers, got back.
They left me. I'm still salty about it.
You'll be all right.
Kansas City. Well, trailers fell off the trailer, so that cost us about an hour and a half, and now we're hitting Kansas City at rush hour.
You're probably a little too close to your face there to really see anything.
I don't know what you can see right now, but why are you laughing at me, brah? I mean, it's all right. Is that too close?
Yeah, that's too close.
I don't like holding. I'm tired, damn it.
Here, I can hold it.
No, you drive. You gotta focus.
I can hold it.
Have an accident. So, yeah, the trailers kind of slid forward, went boom. So we had to get creative with that. Quentin kept his crap together. I worked him pretty hard cranking the crank. But yeah, so here's Kansas City. I'd say that's the Missouri River right there.
Not really getting that. Look at your camera while you do it, please.
Whoa.
Get a good shot.
It doesn't really freaking matter. We got an editing department. I'm not drunk. I am a little tired. I don't know what he's about the mirror. He's I'm too high.
You're getting the sky. This is Kansas City.
This is Kansas City right there. There's the skyline. See? Nothing else. We're gonna give Nico and those guys something to laugh at. Look, if I go here, you got some buildings and shit, but
What can you go now?
your windows are filthy.
I know, man.
Maybe if you'd have washed your windows.
So yeah, that was kind of the process of picking up the trailers.
So, got it back here, put it underneath Brewster. That was a really exciting moment for us.
That was the night before Kempo. So we had a lot of craziness going on that night.
I think we spent like 2 hours looking at what we're gonna do. And then 2 hours panicking because y'all were trying to get to judo class.
Boy, he kept, throughout the whole day, he kept flip-flopping. He was like, nah, I'm not going to put it on there today. I'm going to get some other stuff done to the trailer first. No, I'm going to put it on. No, I'm not going to put it on. And then, so I don't know what time it was. I think it might have been around noon where he decided, yeah, we're going to put Brewster on today. Screw it.
Yeah, there was some stress, there were some ups and some downs, things that went well, didn't, but it could have went a whole lot worse.
It's not that it wasn't hard to do, but it was a lot of things had to happen to put Brewster on the trailer. You know, you have this, I don't know, probably 6,000 pound, massive 22 by 10 foot thing. And you got to lift it up in the air.
Should have done it like a ship.
4 feet in the air. And
Yeah, I should have just done it like a ship, broke a bottle on it and pushed it on. Just pushed it over, let it fall off its stands.
oh, just let it happen.
Just,
Forward go.
it'll come together.
So everything went well there. He had already thought about everything he needed to do.
It took a process for them to get it on there, and because it was so tall and everything was tight, they had to kind of do everything just right, or else something could get hit or caught or broke. But considering it went well, there were a few things that we won't do on the next one, and honestly the next one will have the trailer, so we'll just build it on the trailer, which will solve a lot of that dilemma as well.
Yeah, we had a lot of tedious and sketchy placing boards on top of each other and jacking them up and make sure the jack can roll under while we're lifting everything at the same time. I keep hounding about a gantry crane. You know, out of everything that he has, I'm surprised he doesn't at least have, you know, just one A-frame sitting around that's, you know, 20 feet tall inside there. I'm surprised. I mean, just knowing how Shane is, you figured he'd have that. Or a crane. Everything he wants to do is massive.
Yeah, right.
You got to lift it with a crane. But we did it like sliding one card in at a time just to, and then we set it down.
Everything, I think, went pretty smoothly when we were installing the Brewster onto the trailer. The only issues we really had was there were these tabs that we had on the corners that didn't quite go over because of the thickness of the paint. But we just trimmed the paint out and it's all good now.
For the first one, we built it on a jig that I created that was supposed to perfectly match this trailer. They did a good job. The trailer company communicated to me exactly what that size would be. I did a good job of making it the exact dimensions. We built it. You've heard me throughout the build say many times how square it was. We did a phenomenal job of I'm not saying that to brag, it's just a fact. It was really square. So all of that made it to where when the trailer came in, we just dropped it on there, drilled some holes, bolted it down, and worked out a couple of the kinks.
I'm surprised at the way how well it fit once it was down on the trailer.
How it fit onto the truck.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I couldn't have built something that would have fit perfectly like that. I would have to go in there with a sledgehammer and break some corners in or something. But he was spot on with his measurements because it seemed like everything was nice and square once it sat down.
The big question mark was, were we going to be able to drag that out the door? We made that happen, barely, but we did get it out of there, and then there was nothing holding us back anymore. Once we had the trailer, we could go with the floor, we could do the plumbing, we could build all of the countertops and anything that was there. Pretty much, I'm trying to do this from my memory here, but I think we did the floor. First stage was we put down the plywood. We went 3/4. Again, I was worried about weight. 1/2 inch would have just been all spongy, and I just wasn't comfortable with it. So we put that in.
So basically, Rachel just did whatever I asked her to do.
I got you a notepad and a pen.
Yeah. I had to do all the hard figure out how the heck we were going to get around all the random corners. I mean, we didn't just build a square box. We had jut-ins, jut-outs, little bolt holes I had to cut around, and my dad wanted it to have less than a 1/4 inch gap all the way around. So we had to fit them tight, but then he'd complain that they're too tight. So it was fun, but it's usually the job I get tasked with. And these ones typically run away from it.
I was underneath and I had to hold it up so that the glue didn't touch it until we got it in the right place. And so that's what I did.
Good job.
I really
Thank
don't
you.
remember what I was doing that day.
You were helping Quentin.
Was it with Quentin?
Yes, you and Quentin were putting the aluminum to cover up the wheel wells.
That was that day?
Yes.
I don't
And
remember being
then
that day.
my role was pretty much just to screw down the wood flooring as we went, just to make sure it's all kept in place.
There was a couple jobs I had First job was to make the pieces to fit underneath the walls of Brewster to close the gap between Brewster and the trailer. I had to cut those pieces out and get those sealed up.
We reinforced a couple of spots where the flooring was going to go.
So that was because apparently I had too big of gaps, and my dad, being my dad, wanted the gaps to be full. So anywhere that it was over a 1/4 inch gap or even a 1/4 inch, basically if you could see daylight through the bottom of the trailer, he wanted us to put these aluminum caps and glue them up there so it would seal it better so water wouldn't get up in there.
The next job was to run some wiring to the top of Brewster. So from the inside up to the pillars and then out on top of the roof, because we got a few different things up there that need power. We have a lighted sign. There are the canopies that are operated remotely that need power. And then we also just put a regular 110 exterior outlet up there just for any future thing we wanted to do, whether it be some sort of decorations or Christmas lights or something. The job after that, for that weekend, was to finish putting the aluminum trim on the fenders. So we had, obviously, a trailer's gonna have fenders. They were just open to the frame inside Brewster, and so we finished those out with some aluminum pieces.
As far as what we put down on the floor itself, we went with that same diamond plate, the aluminum diamond plate. Verdict's still out on that. I mean, I like it. I think it's fine, but we could potentially go with a rubber or something like that.
I literally spent half a day measuring that out because we wanted it to be so precise, because it was, I mean, it's the floor, you know? It's not like wood flooring where you can put it in and just cut your end pieces. Like, we literally had 4x8 sheets that we wanted to stick in there, and we wanted it to be fairly tight. You don't want a big gap anywhere. So it took a lot of brain work for me to get it all, because basically I had to measure it all and then draw it in a program so our CNC router will cut it out. So it took me about a half a day to do that.
Mandy cut the flooring, did a phenomenal job, because there's a lot going around those wheels and stuff and all the posts and all that.
There's about a 2-inch empty space around where the steel posts were, so I had to cut out some plywood blocks just to place there.
Because Mandy did bag cutting. There wasn't wood there.
It was not Mandy's fault.
Honestly, it went really well. That was actually one of the few times I don't think we had to recut anything, which is shocking. Typically, I have brain farts. My goodness. Is that gonna make you angry?
He's throwing his hands behind his head.
Yeah. Typically, I have brain farts and I miss something, and so I have to recut it or refigure a way to do it. But that one actually went pretty well. The joints were tight, again, because we had those jut outs, so we had these pieces that had to line up correctly from both edges and look good, because it's the final part. Install went pretty smoothly. My dad, being my daddy,
Decided to glue it down and rivet it. I think it's gonna hold fine.
It's holding up. I mean, we've been using it for a little while and it seems to be holding up really well, so overall it went good.
Didn't insulate the floor this time, but I think we probably will the next one, because I still am beating myself up. I think it's working fine. It seems to be cooling fine. I just would feel better if it was insulated. We did insulate the walls.
We kind of had two crews going. I was working with the Oh So Fun crew that doesn't like me so much when we're working. I had Kendra and Stephanie, the two biggest complainers when it comes to work.
There were parts over the countertops where you guys literally only put screws in one side of it.
Mandy was supposed to do this.
I don't know what you're talking about.
We held this thing until she screwed it, and then she
I
left
really
it,
don't know what
guess.
she's talking about.
I
I
have
didn't screw
a-
anything.
About a 1 foot probably by 4 foot.
You're
And
getting
they
off
put
topic.
screws on one side.
You're getting off your topic.
That's it.
I think that's because there was a beam there.
And I was like, well, this project is one I know we can do. we just have to do it. Stephanie got upset with me because she was like, Dad, you should have just waited for Dad to do this, because she didn't want to do it.
It wasn't me. It's
It was
Mandy.
Mandy.
Okay.
Mandy did that one for real this time.
Anyway, I fixed that.
They were belly aching the whole time, saying the stuff was so heavy they couldn't hold it up there, but they couldn't use a screw gun, so they couldn't screw it up there. That was a whole process. We got it done. It's up there. It looks good. The work itself was very entertaining for those watching. Not so entertaining for the one actually trying to do the work. The canopy,
It was definitely fun putting it up there. It fit, which was huge, because that was a pretty tight fit. As you all know by now, we put it up backwards because Quentin fixed it before we had it up there. So glad he looked into that for us.
It was backwards.
Nothing went wrong there. It was all fine.
originally it was set the right way, the way that we had it on the forklift. And then Quentin's like, hey, I should go make sure that we put this on the right way. I'm gonna go check. So he goes and checks and he flips it around and then we put it on and it's wrong.
You know, I thought I was doing good by thinking ahead and saying, hey, is this the right way? We want to have it done the right first time. And so I went and took a measurement. I measured from the edge of the wall to the edge of the window, and it was like 26 inches. So I went back to the canopy, measured edge of the frame of the canopy to the edge of the actual canopy, and it was 26 inches. I was like, oh, this is the way it goes. So it needs to rotate. But no, the canopy's wider. It's supposed to be centered over the window. It's not supposed to meet the edge. And so originally sitting on the frame, it was in the right direction, but I said it needed to be flipped. So we flipped it, put it up. It was incorrect. I had to lift it up, move it out, twist it, put it back in.
Quentin definitely had a brain fart on that one, but at least he owned it. And sadly, they scratched a few things on the process.
Canopies, everybody loves them. I just hate how much work they were. But the big question mark on Brewster that nobody's asking me is how much does it actually weigh? I'm not going to tell you yet. I'd like for you guys to comment, because you're supposed to do that. See, this is like the first one of these I did. I'm doing it on the spot. So why don't you guys tell me how much you think Brewster weighs? You pretty much watched the whole build. You see how it's framed. I've told you a lot of the materials that's in it, the type of equipment that's in it, but fully equipped, what do you guys think the weight comes in at? I'm really curious to see what some of the numbers are that you guys come up with. But I have weighed it, and I do now know, and we are adjusting accordingly, and that's all I'm going to tell you. We went ahead and sheeted it because I made the decision to do all the plumbing on the exterior of the walls, but inside the cabinets. That way if we have any problems or anything, we can get to it. So we sheeted the walls. Cassie did that while we were touring Montana, Mandy and I looking at the properties that we were looking at up there. And then there's a lot of loose ends from that with Cassie. So I mean, when I say Cassie did that, it took forever.
Pretty much just one sheet at a time. Out on the router, bring it over. Problem is I did about 2 sheets a day. So it took a while.
What did you do?
I put the covers on. And I did something. I don't know what you call
She
that.
can't tell me what she
but
did though.
I stripped wires and put them on.
So basically we had a lot of double outlets in Brewster because we wanted a lot of power. So she connected the 2 outlets together, and then I hardwired the outlets into the actual box. Oh my goodness. So she, like I said, she helped me that day. Actually, that was I think the first time she's ever actually done anything with wiring.
Wow.
I don't know of any time you've ever done anything like that. So she got an outer girl for that one because she actually put forth the work. But as far as the outlets, we wired all those in. She got all the covers put on. There's a lot of finishing touches with a lot of these projects. You don't really think about it. You're like, oh, you got the walls built. That's actually the easy part. It's all the small details that end up driving you crazy.
The dollar.
It's our first
You
dollar
need
we
to put
ever
like
made.
dun-dun-dun, or something. Like when I go. I should have bet more though. I should have done like 50 because I asked an employee, but at least he paid me. I don't think Stephanie ever paid Dad. So I guess that shows you that
He's the man of his word.
he sent me to Home Depot to get a metal outlet cover, and I asked an employee because I found the area, but I didn't see the one he wanted. And I asked an employee, and he said, we don't carry those in that size. And I told him this, and he said, you're lying. I'm gonna go there, and I'm gonna find it. How much you wanna bet? And I said, $1. And
not very smart.
there's your answer.
Wiring the breaker box in Brewster was pretty simple. You have a lot less circuits than what you do in a house, so you had room to kind of play there and make it all really nice and neat. So I got it all tucked away and organized very well. You can clearly see every path of all the wires. But again, it's a lot easier to do when you have, I think it might have been like 15 circuits at the most. So you got a breaker box with 15 circuits, and it's easy at that point. You got plenty of space to work. You don't have to worry about anything. So yeah, it was nice, easy, simple job that turned out really well, and it's working now.
Went ahead and worked on building the countertops, putting the sinks in, getting all that done. Then I had the countertops made. Again, that was a tough choice for me.
We were having issues deciding whether we wanted to do just stainless steel countertops or butcher block. We were going to do butcher block because it was a cheaper option, but then once we got it, we realized it would be adding a couple extra 100 pounds. Dad wasn't pleased about that, so he had me bring it all the way back, which, mind you, is not a fun task, okay? Each of those things were like 150 to 200 pounds a piece. So it wasn't that nice, but it's fine. We got it. And then we went back to the stainless steel plan, and we were just going to have the metal company weld all of those pieces together, but they ended up running behind schedule. So we just said, fine, we'll have the welding done ourselves, because that would save us a day and a half, I think. That's what it was. So we brought it back to the shop, and we had Phil do the welding.
I screwed up the countertops.
Dude, those countertops look fine.
I don't know. I just feel like they're. I
What
don't want to do
what
it
did you
again.
screw up?
They weren't perfectly fitting against the wall because the way when I did that weld, a giant weld bead all the way around, it just didn't seem like it was.
You're talking about that one
Square.
countertop because it was warped.
Yeah.
You can't even tell these. They got those countertops covered. You can't even see. Only welds you can see are like the 2 corner welds you did. That's it.
It was a nightmare.
They look good.
Thanks.
He actually did a decent job. The first one he did, there was warpage, but as Dad has probably said on video already, it's not his fault. It's not something he could magically fix, and everything worked out fine.
We got them in, got the sinks mounted, got the tanks in, installed the hot water tank, had to put in the drains for the waste tank, had to put in the water fill for the freshwater tanks, had to put in the connection for freshwater hookup so we could hook freshwater to it directly. The plumbing took probably about 3 times longer than I thought it would. Part of it is just access. I mean, and there is a bit. When you think about it, we had to plumb the drains and the water, hot water, cold water, everything for 3 sinks and 2 espresso machines. So I mean, that's a bit of plumbing, and we got it all in. It worked good. We did a really good job. Had 1 leak that was just a fitting that wasn't sealing good. I put a different fitting in there and took care of that leak.
The signage was pretty straightforward. We had a design from the beginning of what we kind of wanted it to look like, and so we were able to produce all of that here at the shop.
We have the BW logo that we put on the wood. We added that on there. Then we had the drive-through stickers, and then the coffee sign, which looks amazing. Lots of hard work. Some bumps, but you know, humps, little humps. We got over it, okay? It all worked out.
That one, the big one for the backlit one, that one stirred up some drama. Steph had a rough go.
Were there any problems at any point?
Probably. Honestly,
I don't
probably
think any,
was.
no, I think it was just
Maybe
good
a
quality
point
work.
where you got a measurement wrong, so
You got a measurement wrong?
your boxes didn't quite overlap as originally planned.
I think I was improving his project. It turned out better because of that. So
Or
I'm not
maybe
gonna
there
count
was a
that as a
point
flaw,
where
which I think he would even say too.
Where-
That it
Let's
looks
be
better now.
honest.
you were a little bit worried about some sort of glue,
Yeah, but I mean, it's all fixed.
something like
It's
that.
just great.
Nothing happened.
What are you talking about?
Okay, I guess
No
everything
one
went
knows.
perfectly.
They look good. That's all that matters. Okay.
She apparently used epoxy that didn't mix, and so it wasn't gonna, of course, dry correctly, and that upset my father, and just kind of all spiraled from there. But the signage, aside from that, was good, straightforward. Everything looks really clean, looks really sharp.
My only involvement pretty much was the paint. They build the things and then I paint the things. Somebody had the idea to end up putting a lighted sign there. And so Shane built the box, I prepped it, I painted it, and we installed it.
Coolers and the move-in, yeah, that day was really interesting.
Still was a crazy day for sure, but we managed to pull it off. There were a few water leaks, got those fixed.
Yeah, I bet you all y'all in your minds were like, ah, the whole time. Ah. Can't handle it.
She wasn't there, and the day kind of fell to crap.
The truth is, Cassie and Rachel left. They left. They like went to a friend's house in St. Augustine and were gone for 4 days, at a time where, boy, was I needing them.
They said I could leave.
It all boiled down to an absolutely Willems-like fashion, crazy 4-hour work party leading up to us heading to our soft opening.
I think I drove from the sign shop to town 7 different times. Why? Yeah. Because they needed one thing, or they needed this, or run to this store, run to this store, run and grab that, run and get this. And
The
then,
one bad
yeah.
thing is we forgot the coffee.
Mandy came out there, I think, at 2 or 3 o'clock. We were supposed to have it open at 5, and we hadn't put one cooler in it yet. And all these coolers had to be fastened so they couldn't roll around. I was still plumbing. I still had parts that I was plumbing. Quentin didn't have a working espresso machine at the time. So here we are 3 hours prior. I'm like, okay, well, let's throw the coolers in.
Brewster's door did suffer a minor injury when I was tilting one of those coolers back with the dolly. I tilted it back into the door, so it left a small little dent.
Did you right into it? It just
Yep.
left a little nipple.
I had to put it out there on that Friday when we were hustling and bustling. We had some Montanans come show up and save the day.
Luckily, Scott and Ellie showed up and gave me a hand with mounting some of those in. I wouldn't have made it without it, to be honest. So that was huge.
I don't know if you watch our videos, Old Spice, but thank you.
A lot of the trim pieces, Quentin finished up the trim that morning that Cassie didn't have done. We're going to change some of that. I think I've mentioned that especially the area on the posts, on the countertop there, do not like any of the details around those 2 posts. So the posts are going to be there, but we're going to do away with all of the framing and all of the sheeting. I think that's going to look really cool. So we'll see that out on the next build. But yeah, no, that was crazy. But we've got 2 fridges full size and 1 freezer full size and a kegerator. It's about a half-size cooler. We've got an ice chest. We've got a 3-bay sink. We've got a hand wash sink, and then we have a bar sink that also has a hot water pitcher washer. Rinser rather. Then we're gonna have 2 espresso machines, drip coffee maker, grinder. We've got the blender for the cold drinks. I mean, it's pretty stacked up. It's got plenty of room in there, and of course there's a lot of the shelving. Leaks are all fixed now, and generator is working phenomenally well.
But overall, everything went fairly to plan, which again is not very normal. But everything actually went together really well. Everything's functioning and working, and we're well on our way.
I didn't get to go to the reveal. I was too tired. I was wiped out after that day.
Yeah, well, Phil works hard. He did get his Toyota running though.
The next day. Yeah, dude, we gotta do a video about that cool ass Toyota. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, so things make fun of you.
Oh, hell yeah. That thing's awesome.
Phil got a car. He's really excited about it.
It's an old car. Very old.
And he's trying really hard to get other people to be excited about it,
Yes.
is honestly what is happening. And
I don't know if they are.
I don't know why you would get excited about it. There's nothing very cool about that car.
No.
But, you know, his heart is set on it and he really likes it. So we're happy for Phil.
Yep. The other day I was supposed to get him to help me with something.
Uh-oh.
He says, I'm not going to help you until you say that my car is cool. I said, fine, your car is cool. And he's just like, see, that wasn't so hard.
She's doing so
and
hard.
I just looked at him and I just said, you act like I have a problem lying. Just instantly his mood.
Tears. Yeah. No. I have no idea why he's excited about the car. Like,
I don't know.
Anybody tell me why that car makes him so happy? Like, I don't get it.
It's just the attention. You see Phil in that car and you immediately, everybody's like,
Clown.
If Quentin and I were sitting in that Toyota together, I think it would look something like this.
Probably. It
Where,
might
like, as I'm
it probably
turning,
something
it's
like this.
I got a shift, dude. Stop, move your leg.
the wheels are going to break off.
Literally, it's gonna go.
It's gonna stop working.
Yeah. You know, we're happy he's happy.
Yep.
That's all we're gonna say.
My camera guy is giving the old, what was your favorite part? What were your expectations? I always love these questions. Favorite part was working with my kids, even though they drive me nuts. I'm always gonna say that. It's a lot of fun working with Cassie, if you can't tell. She's definitely, I'm not gonna say she never irritates me, but she's a lot of fun.
Well, for sure the exterior. It looks really sharp. I mean, the inside's cool. It's got plenty of space. I think they love the tall coolers, all of that. But the fact that it's the fridge. That's all they care about is the fridge. The outside looks really, really sharp. And like I say, the fact that it's mobile, but it's a drive-through to me is really cool. The exterior by far is probably my favorite. What's your favorite?
The fridge.
The fridge.
It just looks clean.
This,
And it's bigger and it fits more, and you can put
Yeah.
all of your heavy cream on one shelf, all of your milk on one shelf, all of your sugar shots on one shelf.
So
Instead of just one big Blech.
Yeah, this is the first time we've had new equipment. Anything we've had, we've kind of inherited or we've just bought and pre-owned. So we kind of have new shiny stuff, and so they're all excited about having new stuff, new space, and like she said, it's a lot bigger, a lot more room than what we're working in currently. So that's really fun, which is ironic considering we're in a food trailer. You'd think everything would be smaller, but our coffee shop we have currently is pretty tight. So they're loving the space of it.
The whole thing just looks really cool. You just look at it and it just looks good.
I think I like the fact that I can just go up there and say, I want a cookies and cream milkshake and get that for free. That's pretty,
So you could do that at the time.
that's pretty nice.
I really like how it turned out. Like, I've never seen a mobile drive-through like that.
no.
So literally anywhere. Like, it's usually always you have to walk up, food trucks, that kind of stuff. So the fact that you can literally move this to different locations and just stick it there and it's a working, functioning drive-through, I find that to be very cool. And yeah, no, it exceeded my expectations. I didn't know what to think with all the ideas and everything going on.
Yeah.
I had no idea what we were going to end up with, but it turned out very cool, and I really like how it turned out.
The expectations,
What's that?
Woo! I'd say it's exactly how I pictured it.
And just from that drawing you drew on there, I was like,
Well, yeah, if you're going off of that, then yeah, you definitely.
what is that?
Not based on his first drawing, because that kind of sucked.
Oh.
But when he got the Adobe picture, it's exactly what he drew.
Honestly, we had no idea what it would look like.
When he got his file set
But
up,
Dad's
it all-
ideas are
all
always
adds
cool,
up.
so.
It just looks a lot cooler, and I feel like it is a lot more narrow than I thought, but I think that's just because the counter space. But
But overall, you're happy with how it turned out?
yes.
How are you even making that sound? So I think it's definitely better than I expected because like, again, it's like anything else. You don't know, it's all in your head. I mean, some of that stuff we're not getting actual wood. Is it gonna look cheesy? Like, laying it up with vinyl, how's it gonna look? And honestly, everything looks really, really good. Everything turned out really well. The inside of it's really clean, really nice.
Should have been Matt.
Oh my gosh, we're gonna bring that back. Overall, it definitely, like I say, it looks a lot more impressive than I even expected. Because I mean, again, a trailer you expect to be small and not really big. Like, this thing feels substantial, but yet you can hook up to it and tow it anywhere. So overall, I was very pleased with how it turned out.
my expectations were very high, and I believe we absolutely nailed it. Inside and out, Brewster is completely cool.
You say it.
He says, I ain't gonna do it now. There you go. He's like, if you want to be like me, just stick my tongue out, okay? We'd appreciate your feedback. Want to know where you guys would like to see Brewster, what you think about him, and we're excited for this next step, and hopefully we'll have these all across the country soon.
I approve this message.
Approve this message. All right.